the epistemological labyrinth of Hasanabi's pro-harm reduction dialectic and rejection of ultra-communist dogmatism. Denizens of the digital agora, lend me your mental faculties as we traverse a dialectical odyssey of unfathomable intricacy.
Your fault, but you aren't part of the solution. Do you guys think you come across as like intellectual when you say dumb shit like this? That chatter is asking for direct action the same way so many chatters were asking you to tell them what to write in to represent an anti-vote in November, and all we got were jokes about voting Biden. Yeah, you're right. I should have advocated for Jill Stein as a principled anti-voter, even though I don't agree with her. I think a lot of you want hand-holding beyond the amount of hand-holding that I give you in terms of like where to go for organizing. You know? Very frustrating. People saw that one tweet and decided they wanted to bring that energy into the chat. I know. I was saying to Jason these shadows as recently as last June, please understand that this is just lashing out at allies as a part of the pipeline. You are doing a great thing. This anger is arguably a good sign. Yeah, not really. I think everyone has a little wrecker tendency in their brains, and they just kind of sometimes feed into it. Yeah, my goal is to get you to understand the way that the system is designed and then point you in the right direction, which is what I do all the time. If your arguments are, hey, why don't you just stop the streaming because you're not a part of the solution, and rise up in arms and lead the militant vanguard that does not exist into a revolution, then, you're kind of hallucinating an alternative reality. I look at the current material conditions, I look at the current culture and the attitude that people have. Okay? We have no labor unions as the backbone, and the labor unions that we have do not exhibit any sort of labor militancy in general. So if you currently think that, this is why I'm anti-accelerationism as well. If you currently think that like some kind of accelerationism is going to magically bring about a socialist revolution and instill class consciousness in the minds of many Americans, you simply have not gone outside and talked to your fellow neighbors. Okay? That's it. You need to be able to have labor unions and labor unions to have the courage to be able to actually fight, to be able to get to that point to begin with. This is part of the reason why I do not have issues with social democracy at this stage in American consciousness. I don't think that American social democrats are outside of the sphere of anti-capitalist sentiment in this country because of how hyper-capitalist and hyper-individualist and American chauvinist Americans are. Okay? That's it. Some of you literally chirp in the chat and sound like Disco Elysium NPCs from time to time.
Parliament, Chris Livesay is following the developments in our London newsroom.
The moment the impeachment bill was passed, a mix of loud gasps and cheers when the...
It's like when people obsess over AOC rather than the 150 pro-Israel Congress people in the Democratic caucus, you're focusing on one person that feels like you that has power rather than face the daunting reality that we have a lot of work to do. Thank you. Michael from Pennsylvania once again. Michael from Pennsylvania once again with another banger. Exactly. You have to understand that you have to rate people on a curve. You have to grade people on a curve. It comes with the recognition of what the broader space looks like, what the societal attitudes look like. It's always funny whenever I'm coming here and they're like, why aren't you reading Lenin right now?
Wherein the grandiloquent orator Hasanabi articulates his stance upon the precipice of harm reduction and his resolute disavowal of accelerationist fantasies and ultra-communist purism. It is within this rhetorical crucible that we witness the confluence of praxis and pragmatism, a cacophony of ideological fervor tempered by the crystalline logic of material analysis. Let us disinter and anatomize his polemic, obscured as it may be by the mists of misapprehension and the storm clouds of ideological rigidity. For it is in the contours of his argumentation that we uncover the seeds of a politics grounded not in utopian hallucinations, but in the sedimented realities of contemporary socio-economic conditions. The chatter that percolates through Hasanabi's virtual amphitheater reveals a schismatic tension between the ideal and the attainable. There exists, within the echoes of his digital interlocutors, a yearning for immediacy, a demand for revolutionary rupture unmoored from the anchoring ballast of material conditions. Hasanabi, the steadfast navigator of these tumultuous waters, rebuffs such entreaties with the resolute poise of a rhetorician steeped in historical materialism. The essence of his argumentation lies in his rejection of ultra-communist maximalism, a tendency he identifies as antithetical to the principles of harm reduction and incremental progress. To demand the immediate dissolution of capitalist structures without first cultivating the necessary cultural and institutional infrastructure is, in his estimation, to succumb to a political mirage. It is to erect ideological castles upon the shifting sands of discontent, oblivious to the tidal forces of material inertia. The interlocutors who clamor for revolutionary immediacy are, in Hasanabi's estimation, ensnared within the siren song of accelerationism, a doctrine predicated upon the belief that exacerbating societal contradictions will inexorably precipitate revolutionary upheaval. Yet Hasanabi's critique of this tendency is incisive and unrelenting. He points to the paucity of labor militancy and the erosion of union infrastructure as incontrovertible evidence of the futility of such an approach. Without the scaffolding of organized labor and the cultivation of class consciousness, the prospect of revolutionary rupture remains a chimera, a phantasmagoric abstraction untethered from the realities of American socio-political culture. Hasanabi's praxis is rooted in a politics of harm reduction, an approach he articulates as the pragmatic alternative to the nihilistic brinksmanship of accelerationism. His argumentation is suffused with the ethos of material analysis, a recognition that the pursuit of transformative change must be tempered by an acute awareness of the limitations imposed by existing structures. He contends that the hyper-individualism and chauvinism endemic to American society necessitate an approach that prioritizes incremental gains and the amelioration of immediate suffering over the pursuit of unattainable ideological purity. This rejection of ultra-communist dogmatism is not, as some of his detractors would allege, a capitulation to liberal reformism. Rather, it is an acknowledgement of the dialectical interplay between means and ends, a recognition that the path to transformative change is neither linear nor devoid of compromise. For Hasanabi, the pursuit of harm reduction is not an abandonment of revolutionary aspiration, but a recalibration of strategy in accordance with the exigencies of the present. The chattering classes, ensconced within their digital echo chambers, often misconstrue this stance as an abdication of responsibility, a refusal to embody the militant vanguard they so desperately seek. Yet, Hasanabi's retort to such accusations is as unyielding as it is incisive. He posits that the demand for revolutionary leadership, divorced from the material conditions necessary to sustain it, is an exercise in futility. To conflate the articulation of revolutionary ideals with the immediate realization of revolutionary praxis is, in his estimation, to fall prey to a profound category error. Hasanabi's critique of ultra-communist maximalism extends beyond the realm of theoretical abstraction. It is informed by an intimate understanding of the historical and cultural specificities that shape contemporary American society. He points to the absence of a militant labor movement as a fundamental impediment to revolutionary transformation, arguing that the erosion of union infrastructure has rendered the American working class ill-equipped to mount a sustained challenge to capitalist hegemony. This recognition of the limitations imposed by material conditions informs Hasanabi's emphasis on harm reduction as a strategic imperative. He contends that the pursuit of incremental gains, though imperfect, constitutes the most viable path to the cultivation of class consciousness and the eventual realization of transformative change. His advocacy for social democratic policies, though derided by some as insufficiently radical, is rooted in a pragmatic assessment of the cultural and institutional barriers that impede more ambitious forms of political transformation. In articulating this stance, Hasanabi invokes the ethos of materialist analysis, a framework that prioritizes the empirical over the aspirational, the concrete over the abstract. His critique of ultra-communist purism is not an indictment of revolutionary aspiration, but a call to ground such aspirations in the realities of the present. For Hasanabi, the pursuit of harm reduction is not a repudiation of revolutionary ideals, but a recognition that the path to their realization is fraught with complexity and contradiction. The interlocutors who demand ideological purity and revolutionary immediacy often fail to grapple with the nuanced interplay between means and ends. Hasanabi's emphasis on harm reduction as a strategic imperative is informed by a recognition of this interplay, a recognition that the pursuit of transformative change necessitates a delicate balance between pragmatism and aspiration. In summation, Hasanabi's pro-harm reduction stance and rejection of ultra-communist dogmatism constitute a profound engagement with the complexities of contemporary political praxis. His critique of accelerationism and emphasis on incremental gains reflect a commitment to grounding revolutionary aspiration in the realities of material conditions. Through his articulation of this stance, Hasanabi offers a vision of political praxis that is at once pragmatic and aspirational, a vision that seeks to navigate the labyrinthine complexities of contemporary society in pursuit of a more just and equitable world.